Heritage Sports. We had such a good time going over our Coach Kelly stories the other day. We neglected the rest of the coaching staff. How dare we? So if you want to listen more about Coach Kelly, you can go back and listen to it. But I'll go over the rest of the coaches on staff. I know the staff is bigger than what's been put out, but I'll just focus on the coaches in this picture. And in addition, Coach Prime, and go over each coach and how they were hired or when they were hired and what I think or perceive to be their strengths and weaknesses. So we'll start off with Coach Prime, as he's been saying he's been doing this for a while. He my favorite story of his is him saying how he got into coaching, and it was when his sons Shiloh and Shador were like 5 and 7, and they started playing football for the first time. And for an NFL player, I can understand who is big on fundamentals. The coach that was coaching them wasn't doing the drills in the best way. So he decided to step in, and before you know it, he kept stepping in more and more and more. And from that moment, he said, if I'm going to critique the coach, especially from with my voice of my background in NFL range, I need to go ahead and coach. And that's what he ended up doing. He ended up having all of these leagues, younger kid leagues from 5 to 10 years old. Did it for football, did it for basketball, and when the kids got older, he started to really coach. And that started for Prime Prep Academy, which was a much in the news academy in the DFW area. You can Google it, but he was the head coach there from 2012 to 2013. In 2015, when the school shut down, I'm sure, he decided to go to the AAA Academy where he was the head coach for another 2 seasons. And in 2017, he became the offensive coordinator for Trinity Christian High School. He there had the opportunity to coach his sons Shiloh and Shador. As many know, Shiloh went on to the University of South Carolina, and Shador signed with FAU with Willie Taggart. Then comes along Jackson State. Jackson State offered him a head coaching position, the Legacy HBCU, a beautiful institution, on September 21st, 2020. He accepted the job, and from there, it started everything. He got Shador to leave his commitment from FAU to come to Jackson State. He got his son Shiloh to transfer to Jackson State, and he moved there in the middle of the pandemic. And much chronicled all the things that they had to go through, him himself had to go through to get to this point where he was named the head coach of the University of Colorado Buffaloes on December 3rd, 2022. And from there, he's made a number of great hires, great fits that I've kind of talked about before, but we're going to talk about in depth now. I want to start with his offensive coordinator, Sean Lewis. Sean Lewis was the head coach of the Kent State Flashes for the last few seasons, really 4 or 5, if I have that correct. He is in fact one of the fastest. He's the architect of one of the fastest offenses in the group of 5 conferences, and basically the fourth fastest offense in all of college football. What that is interesting and really intriguing to me means the Colorado offense is going to be fast. They want to move quickly. It's going to be one play after the next, one play after the next, trying to wear defenses down to confuse them, to move the ball up and down. It's going to be much like a track meet. They want it to be a shootout on offense. So I found that to be a very, very good hire, interesting hire. Out of all the coaches on the staff, I expect Sean Lewis to be gone first. He's probably going to be named a head coach somewhere else. He was in contention to get the Cincinnati job that ended up going to the Louisville coach Satterfield. So I don't envision him being in Boulder the longest, especially if the offense clicks and he works. He may be, reconstructing his own staff. And, it's kind of peculiar to be a head coach and then resign to be an offensive coordinator, but it's at a bigger institution, so I can understand that it's an investment, especially if he can show it on the field. The results for the Kent State Flashes weren't the best, but they did get better a little bit throughout the year. Sean Lewis, he started as he was a player at University of Wisconsin. He was a tight end. He then went on to be a tight ends coach at Nebraska at Omaha. He was a grad assistant at Akron. Then went to be a wide receivers tight end coach at Eastern Illinois. Then he was a wide receivers coach at Bowling Green. and he became the offensive coordinator at Bowling Green to Syracuse, where he was there for 2 seasons. Then he was named the Kent State head coach before joining the Colorado staff, which is, I think, is going to be a great hire. I just don't think he's going to be around that long. And the only reason why I'm bringing Bill O'Boyle up next is because it seems that he came over with Sean. He was the offensive line coach at Kent State for the seasons that Sean was there. Bill O'Boyle, from the images I've seen and what I've seen on him online, he looks like an old school coach. He wants you to hit someone in the mouth, and I can appreciate that. He played at Western Illinois in the 80s. From there, he went to only coach the offensive line throughout his career at Chadron State, Western Illinois, his alma mater. Went back to Chadron State. He's been in Colorado before as an offensive line coach, Colorado Mesa. Then he went to Southern Illinois as a offensive line coach. And from 2016 to 2017, he was at South Dakota as an offensive line coach. And from there, he was 2018 to 2022. He's the Kent State offensive line coach under Sean Lewis. And now he is at Colorado. He's from Iowa, and Iowa always produces good linemen. I'll tell you that much for sure. So I think he's going to be an old school coach and hopefully will protect the quarterbacks for the Buffalo. The next, Coach Flea Harrell is a former NFL player from Miami. He's an HBCU grad. He played at Howard. He played for the Giants for 2 seasons before he went into his coaching career full time. He also played in the it looks like the Worldwide League. He played for the Frankfurt Galaxy in the CFL before starting his coaching career. He went back to his alma mater as a wide receivers coach at Howard in 2002. From there, he went to Texas Southern, then Florida A&M as a wide receivers coach. Then he went to be a quarterbacks coach at Morgan State in 2008. From 2009 to 2010, he was at Bowie State as the offensive coordinator. And from 2011 to 2016, he was at Howard. He went to Florida Atlantic as a wide receivers coach from there, and from 2017 to 2018. Then he went to Alabama State as a assistant head coach and running backs coach. From 2020 to 2022, he was the running backs coach for Jackson State. If you remember when Coach Prime went through his health issues, Coach Harrell was the actual interim head coach. So he has experience running the program, a lot of rich experience, and I'm sure if anything like that happens again, he's going to be continue to be in the leadership position. And he is has a very, very rich coaching history, NFL and college. He is now on the Colorado staff as the assistant head coach and running backs coach. The guy knows running backs. He knows offense, so I think he's going to continue to have his great coaching career. So from there, we're going to go with Tim. Oh, no, let me go with Brett. Actually, Brett Bartolone was Coach Prime's offense coordinator at Jackson State. He was hired out of Nevada. He was a offensive analyst for them. But as far as Brett Bartolone's playing career, he was a wide receiver for Washington State. He ended up having to end his career early due to injuries, but it started his coaching career. And from there, he went on to a number of different places, such as Carleton College, and then ended up with the Wolfpack, as I said, Nevada Wolfpack, as an offensive analyst before being hired as an offensive coordinator for the Jackson State Tigers for the last year. What I like about Brett is he definitely wants a wide open offense. He's going to be there to support Sean Lewis's vision, I'm sure. They expect the quarterback to throw the ball a lot, and that's what I expect this upcoming fall. He joined the University of Colorado as an offensive analyst again. He is returning to the Pac-12. Again, he was a Washington State wide receiver. He knows the conference pretty well. I'm sure he keeps up with his team, and I don't know, he may have played with Coach Leach, played under Coach Leach. I'll look that up, but he understands what the Pac-12 culture is and can give his insights and just what he recalls in history for that. I do think Brett is also going to have head coaching ambitions, so I definitely see him continuing to grow and actually being, moved up and elevated sooner or later. So next, I want to talk about Tim Brewster. He is definitely low key one of my favorite coaches on the staff. He was a tight end at Illinois, out there in Champaign, Illinois. He's a great motivator, a strong, very, very strong speaker. What I found cool from his not playing days, but his coaching career, he was the tight ends coach at Florida State from 23 to 2017, the same time that Coach Kelly was there. So I'm sure there was a little bit of a connection getting Coach Kelly to go to the University of Colorado. But back to his beginning, Tim started as essentially he's been a tight end coach his whole career, which is fantastic. At UNC, he was the tight end coach long time from 1989 to 1997. From 1998 to 2001, he was the University of Texas tight ends coach. 2002 to 2003, he was the San Diego Chargers tight end coach. Same thing for 2004. Then he went to the Denver Broncos. Then he returned to the college ranks to the Minnesota Golfers from 2007 to 2010 as a tight ends coach. He was the tight ends coach at Mississippi State. He was the tight ends coach again at Florida State from 2013 to 2017. Then he went to Texas A&M, I'm assuming following Coach Jimbo Fisher to Texas A&M. Then he went back to UNC as a tight ends coach. Then he went to Florida as a tight ends coach. Then he went to Jackson State this last year to be a tight ends coach. Before now, he's at Colorado as a tight ends coach. What I saw from the content out of Jackson State a lot was him speaking and him motivating players, and it wasn't just tight ends; it was the whole team. You could just see he's a magnetic figure, and I like to see him talk. So whenever his content is on, I like to see what he's talking about. All right, let's go to the next coach, Andre Hart. Andre Hart is another funny coach. He's always on their videos, and on Coach Prime, you can see his personality shine through. He's a really funny person. Seems to be a good coach. He played linebacker at Kansas State, but for the most part, his coaching career started at Trinity Christian, and he's been coaching there for 13 years before he ended up following Coach Prime to Jackson State. He also played at Ranger Junior College. Gotta see where that is, but another rich experience. He's at Colorado as a linebackers coach, and he seems to know what he's talking about. Next, Kevin Mathis is actually next. But let me say one more thing about Andre Hart. He has said actively he wants to be a head coach and is waiting for the right opportunity. So, the right opportunity comes along and he's going to be out of there. Kevin Mathis, longtime NFL player. I was a fan of his. I got the chance to watch him when I was growing up. He ended up playing on a number of different teams, but he was a longtime NFL player, played for the Saints, and he was a really, really good player. As far as his coaching career goes, he started in 2012 at Prime Prep Academy, and from there, I'm assuming he coached there for a few years. Not sure what happened in the interim, but the next coaching career stop was in 2020 at Jackson State University when he was the defensive back coach. So he has now been named to the same position for the University of Colorado at Boulder. He has a rich playing experience with the NFL. He is a longtime NFL player. Seems to be almost 10 years. And then he has 2 years coaching at Jackson State. Very, 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 very good player. So I'm sure he can communicate with the kids, tell them what they need to know, and go from there. Then there's Nick Williams. Nick Williams was named the coach, the defensive line coach at Colorado. Nick started as a player for the University of Georgia, the recent national champions. He was a linebacker for the Bulldogs. He then joined the Texas A&M coaching staff where he was an analyst and basically made his bones as a recruiter and getting some of the top prospects. And now he joins Colorado as the defensive line coach. If there's any university that puts out good defense, is the University of Georgia. So I have no doubt about it. He knows what he's talking about, and he knows how to recruit. And the last person, I mean, I shouldn't have made him last, but Dennis Thurman. Oh my goodness, such a storied career. Former NFL player. He played for the Dallas Cowboys a long time. Then he played for the Cardinals. As soon as he retired from the Cardinals, they liked him so much they made him a defensive back coach, and that started his NFL coaching career. So he was with the Cardinals from 1988 to 1999 as a defensive back coach. He then went back to his alma mater, USC, and I'm sure he coached under Pete Carroll as a defensive back coach. He was there from 1993 to 2000. From there, goes to the Baltimore Ravens defense as a defensive assistant and defensive back coach. He's there from 2002 to 2007, and those great defenses that the Baltimore Ravens had. Then he went to the New York Jets. He's the New York Jets defensive coordinator from 2013 to 2014, but he was at the organization from 2008 to 2014. You could just tell he has such a rich knowledge of coaching and playing. But from there, he goes to be the Buffalo Bills defensive coordinator, and then the Jackson State defensive coordinator from 2020 to 2022. God knows what he's talking about. He's not the defensive coordinator for Colorado, but he was named the director of quality control. I'm sure, is just going to breathe life into that program. I'm sure he is conveying well in that regard. So my overall impressions of the coaching staff: diverse, rich history. Everybody wants to play fast. Everybody wants to be hungry and rush the quarterback. So I think it's well balanced. I think it's one of the most well balanced coaching staffs that I've gone through. You can see the connections, and you can see how it's a relationship business in college football. So if you want to be a college coach, you got to be prepared to move. First off, that's one thing. You got to be prepared to get up and move to another university, whether that's across the country, a few states over, whatever the case may be, and be good at what you do. You be good at what you do, somebody's going to say good things about you in a room that you're not in. Then all of a sudden you're in that room. So you can see from the connections that I laid through that the University of Colorado's coaching staff has a lot of relationships with each other. Some of them work together, and they're going to be able to impart their knowledge to the kids that they have in the program. I mean, it's so well balanced from the NFL perspective, from college perspective. I think it's going to do well. And don't get me wrong, there are other staffs out there like this. And even if they do well, they may have to get new coaches each and every year. That's just the business of it. But for right now, I think they have a very strong coaching staff. I don't know how their coaching staff was before, but I don't think it's this good top to bottom, just a complete coaching staff. So I'm really looking forward to the fall and seeing what the Colorado Buffaloes do. And until next time, Heritage Sports.